let's make some Christmas ornaments using infusible ink. Now, infusible ink is Cricut's brand of sublimation. So if you hear me using the word sublimation instead of infusible ink, that is because they're really both the same thing. But today I'm going to show you a hack on how to sublimate on wood ornaments. Hello, I am Katie, the Crafty Blog Stalker, and I am the owner and creator of the website, thecraftyblogstalker.com. Now, I love to craft. I have been crafting ever since I was little. I started cross-stitching when I was about 5, and I have been exploring the world of crafts ever since. And I like to consider myself a professional crafter, except there are a few things I cannot do. I cannot crochet and I cannot knit. I have tried and tried and tried, and I can't do it. So those are out of my wheelhouse, but I love to experiment with other crafts and see what I can come up with. So if you're looking for a great resource on craft ideas, I highly suggest checking out the CraftyBlogStalker.com. With our projects, we're going to be making 3 different ornaments, all with the same design, so you can see how the different methods differ. We're going to start with our glitter ornament, and these are the supplies that we're going to be using. We've got our Cricut Joy, and we're going to be using this for all of our projects today. Standard grit mat, a 3-inch wood ornament round, a small sanding block, some wood beads and twine, black infusible ink, and white iron-on glitter, and then some pattern scrapbook paper to top it off. And we will be using our Easy Press mat, and some butcher paper. We're going to start in Cricut Design Space, and for this project I prefer Cricut Design Space over the Cricut Joy app. I think the Cricut Joy app is great for cards, but for anything else, I prefer to use Cricut Design Space. And I'm also using Cricut Design Space on an app, not on my computer. So if you're on a computer, the program may look a little bit different, but it all works the same. Some icons are in a different place. I'm gonna go ahead and open a new project. I have already uploaded my design, but I'm gonna go ahead and click on Upload. If you needed to upload, you would click on Browse Files, and you'd be able to grab that SVG from wherever you saved it. I am going to click on Upload and click Open Uploaded Images. And here is the file that I want. So I'm going to click on Add. Now you can see here that this is a full ornament. I don't need the full ornament. So I am going to open up my Layers panel. And that outline, I am just going to get rid of it. I can get rid of it by selecting that eye, and it puts a little slash through it. Or if I wanted to, I could just highlight it and delete it by hitting the trash can. Either way works totally fine. Now we need to size our design. We want this to be a little bit bigger than our wood round, and our wood round is has a 3-inch diameter. So I'm going to highlight it, click on Edit, and we're going to make the width 3.1, just so it's just a tiny bit larger. And that's all we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Make It, and we're going to cut on a mat, confirm, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out all of them at the same time because they're all the same. So I'm going to select 3, and we're going to change our mat to the 12-inch mat. There we go. And if we want to, we can even like try and save a little bit of space and squish these together just a little bit. Oh, and we want to make sure that they're mirrored, and we can even turn them so we aren't using as much infusible ink. I always like to mess with this because I feel like I can always save more space than Cricut automatically says we can. That looks really good, and we're mirrored, so I can check all of that over here on my left mat panel. I'm going to go ahead and click on Next, and then for my materials, I'm going to look for infusible ink, and then we are ready to cut. I'm going to take my cover off of my mat, and with the color side up, just going to lay that onto my mat. I can load my mat, and it automatically grabs my mat and measures my material. And then in the app, I press Go. And it's going to cut out all 3 of my designs. I can unload my material, and I'm done with my Cricut Joy, so I'm going to put that away. It is always a good rule of thumb, a good habit, to turn your mat over to remove your material. It doesn't matter if it's paper, vinyl, heat transfer vinyl. It's just a good habit to get into. For paper, it makes it so it doesn't curl. Now, this is already curled because it's been in a package, but it's just a good habit to get into. And then I'm going to put my cover back on my mat, and I line it up with the top corners and then just roll it down. Now, before I weed these, I'm just going to cut them apart with a pair of scissors. And then before I weed them, I'm just going to kind of run them through my fingers just to make sure that those pieces are cut all the way through so that the outside will separate easily from the design. And I can just kind of push it back for those pieces to poke up that I don't want. And we want the design to stick to that back carrier sheet. It's okay if I rip it. And there is our cut out design. Hopefully you can see that. Here, I'll put it down. Okay, so we're going to repeat that for our other two pieces. I'm going to go back to my device and go to my Google web browser, and I'm going to type in Cricut Heat Guide. And then this is going to tell me all of my heat settings. Cricut Heat Guide. And then I can choose my material, and for starters we're going to be using our glitter iron-on. And we're going to be using wood. So then I can see that I need to heat my Easy Press to 300 degrees for 40 seconds. I have cut a piece of the glitter iron-on vinyl to cover that wood round. So the first thing we're going to do is iron that on. I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath to catch that excess. And then I'm just going to apply our heat. And then we're going to let this cool for just a minute. All right, we stuck to the paper, which is okay. That's why it was there. And then I'm just going to peel back that carrier sheet. Now, to remove the excess heat transfer vinyl, I have found the easiest way is just with a little sanding block. Just go all the way around. You could use like the Cricut True Control knife and just go around it. But I think this looks much better. And then that piece of vinyl is perfect on that wood round. Now for the hole, I'm going to take my awl and I'm just going to poke a hole right in there through the back. Here, I'll move this. Then through the front, I'm just going to kind of push it in there and move that around all of the sides. So then we have that nice hole for our twine to go into. Now I'm going to go back to that Cricut Heat Guide and I'm going to change my material to infusible ink transfer sheet. And for the base material, it only lets me choose Cricut blanks. So I'm just going to say we're the square coaster. So 400 degrees at 60 seconds. I'm going to change that heat setting on my Easy Press. And I'm just going to use that same piece of paper, fold it in half so it's a little bit thicker. I'm going to put my ornament down and I'm going to place my black infusible ink design on top. And I want to make sure that I cover the entire bottom of my ornament with the design. I'm not so much worried about the trees. The trees can go off a little bit, but I don't want my deer to go off. So I'm just going to find that magical placement. Also keeping an eye at that hole because that is the top of my ornament. And then that transfer sheet is kind of sticky, so I can just press it down. If you want to, you can use more heat tape to hold it in place. I am just going to leave it as is. I'm going to add another piece of paper on top, and then we're going to apply the heat for 60 seconds. The reason that this hack works is because the infusible ink needs a polyester base for the ink to soak into. Well, glitter is polyester. So that is how we can use this glitter iron on vinyl as our base to our infusible ink. Okay, and then we're gonna let that cool for just a minute before we remove the carrier sheet. All right, it is cooler to the touch, so I'm carefully just going to lift that up, and look at how cool that is. Isn't that so pretty? So that is our glitter method. For our coated ornament, we have our Cricut Joy, our 3-inch wood ornament, some twine beads, and French roast color wash tint, some black infusible ink, and then we're going to be using a lamination sheet and some patterned scrapbook paper. And same as before, we will be using our Easy Press mat, and some butcher paper. Next, we're going to use the method with the laminate sheet. But before we apply the laminate sheet, I want to add some stain to my wood round here. So I've got some cotton pads here, and I've already gotten them wet with some water. And then we're just going to wipe on that French roast stain. And I want it on there pretty light. I don't want it to be too dark. Take another piece of paper and just fold it in half, and we're going to put it inside, and we're going to put it under our heat press to dry it. So we're just going to apply some heat there really quick so it's nice and dry. And next we're going to come to our laminate sheets. Now our laminate sheets come with a sheet for the bottom and a sheet for the top. We only need one, so we can just tear it apart. And then you'll notice that there's a side that is nice and smooth, and then a side with like a film on it. And the side with the film on it is the side that we want to put down onto the ornament. That film is what is going to make it adhere to that ornament. I'm going to take a piece of paper and put it on top, and you'll notice that I've changed my settings from 400 to 375. So we're just going to add just a quick dab of heat, just enough to get that laminate sheet to stick to our wood piece. And we're going to let that cool, and then we're going to take our design and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the glitter ornament. We want to just place it on our ornament. And again, use the stickiness of that carrier sheet to put it in place. I'm going to cover it with that piece of paper and again apply our heat. Laminate sheets are also a form of polyester. So this time we are using the laminate sheet as our base to apply our infusible ink. Move that paper. Gonna let that cool and then carefully lift up. And I love that you can see that wood grain through our infusible ink. So now we can peel that off of that paper. And this time we are going to use the True Control knife just to cut around. That laminate sheet is a little bit too thick to work with the sandpaper method that we used with the glitter. But we are going to do the same thing with the hole at the top. Just punch through and make larger. There is our ornament with the laminate sheet. To make our raw ornament without any type of coating, we're going to be using our Cricut Joy, our wood blank. This is a 3-inch wood blank, some wood beads, twine, some French roast color wash tint, black infusible ink, and some red patterned scrapbook paper. And just like all the others, again, we'll be using our Easy Press mat, and some butcher paper. The last ornament we're going to do is our raw ornament. So we're not going to be putting a laminate sheet on top. You can sublimate directly onto wood, although it is never quite as vibrant as if you used a polyester coating like the laminate sheet. So I'm going to show you how it looks without using a coating. So we're going to apply our stain the same way we did before. And we don't want it too dark. So again, I'm going to put it in between a folded sheet of paper to dry it out and put it underneath our heat press. And I have increased our temperature back up to 400 degrees for 60 seconds. And without a laminate sheet this time, I'm just going to put our design right onto our wood round. Using that carrier sheet to stick it down. And again, use a piece of paper on top and apply our heat. Now you may have noticed that I have been using printer paper or copy paper instead of butcher paper, and that is just fine. You just need some type of paper barrier to soak up any excess ink so you don't stain your easy press or your mat. And then same thing, we're just gonna let this cool and carefully remove that carrier sheet. And there it is on our raw ornament. And I love how that black looks. I think it almost gives it a wood burned look. But of course, if you were using any other color besides a dark black, it might not show up as well. You can see how that black is almost a brown because it doesn't have that polyester coating. So what do you think? Which one is your favorite method? We have the glitter, the laminate sheet, and the raw. I love them each. They each have their own qualities that make them unique and super cute. But we aren't quite finished yet. I want to show you a cute way to finish off your ornament to make it ready to hang on your tree. I'm going to take my paper trimmer and my pattern scrapbook paper, and I want to cut a rectangle that is 2.5 by 3. And then I'm going to take my little piece of paper and I'm going to accordion fold it. So I'm going to create my first fold, make it just about as skinny as I can get it, and then accordion fold it, which is basically just folding back and forth. Okay, so we have our little accordion folded piece. I'm going to take my piece of twine, and these pieces of twine came with my wood ornaments, so I didn't have to purchase anything additional. Make that hole nice and big again. In fact, I'm going to use that tool to kind of help push it through. And I can grab it out the other side. Do I have both pieces? Nope, I don't. There we go. Even up those ends. Create a loop and then pull the ends through that loop. Then we're going to take our folded piece and we're going to put it between the two layers of twine and tie just a simple little knot. And we want that knot to go right across the center of our paper. And we want the knot to be on top. And I can see it's not quite in the center, so I'm just going to push it a little bit to make it more in the center. Tie that knot. And then to make our little accordion pieces spread out, we're just going to kind of push it with our fingers and give it some little creases right there in the center. And then I'm going to take a wood bead, put my ends together, and push that twine through the hole in the bead, and then give it a little knot. And make sure that that knot is at the end of those two strands. And there is our cute little ornament. What do you guys think? Isn't that so cute? I love that way of finishing off ornaments, is just with some simple paper. And I already did these over here. And I love how they turned out. Again, I'd love to know which method is your favorite, whether you like the glitter, the laminate, or the raw. If you want more fun at craft tutorials, make sure to check out my website, thecraftyblogstalker.com. And if you make any of these ornaments, I would love to see your creations. So feel free to tag me on Instagram, Facebook at thecraftyblogstalker. Thanks everyone. Bye and happy crafting and Merry Christmas.